everyone. Thanks for joining us for the Superintendent's Report. I'm Carol Birdsong, and joining me for the next 30 minutes is Superintendent Jason Golden. And we had a school board meeting. As we record this, we had a school board meeting last night, and so we will talk about that and the action that the board took, and then we are going to kind of do like a year in review of the 21-22 school year, and then we will look a little bit ahead into the next school year. So we have a lot of information to cover. I'm going to start first off with the first order of business, which was the superintendent's contract. And I'd like to say congratulations. You, Superintendent Golden, got your contract extended another year, and we can explain what that really means. But for our school district, that's a great thing.
Well, thank you for that, and I think you hit it right. For our school district, that's a great thing. In Tennessee, there's a maximum time that can be on a superintendent's contract, and it's 4 years. And I believe it likely tracks the election cycle. And I had 4 years on my contract a year ago. We were to 3 years, and we have an annual agenda item for the board to discuss my contract. And they voted to extend it to 4 years, so we're back up to the maximum time. I very much appreciate the board's commitment to us and to the effort we have. You know, one of the things I talked about was our leadership. And what I know is teachers lead our students, the administrators lead. Our leadership team works together. Our board leads. We have a lot of leaders, and we lead out of love for what we're doing and for the students we serve. So I'm very appreciative of the vote from our board. When you do public service, it's hard work, and especially when you're serving children, it's valuable work. So when you combine those two, having that support from the board is very important to us.
And we still have a lot of work to do. So it's a good thing you're going to be around to lead it.
That work continues. One of the key items we're talking about is going back through the strategic planning process. We're about 6 years or so into a 7-year strategic plan, and it's time. Mm-hmm. We knocked out a lot of those strategic goals just in the last couple of years, and a lot has changed. We don't like to talk about that spike in the anomaly of the pandemic, but it had an impact on us. And so this fall we're going to work on a strategic plan, knowing that we're in a different environment from where we were, in part because of the pandemic, but also we've grown. Just in the last 7 years, we have grown so much. Williamson County continues to grow in so many areas. We are growing academically, but we're growing in numbers. The houses have proliferated and grown. We have a lot more people who come because of the work we're doing largely. We hear that from the Chamber of Commerce so often, that we're growing in our community largely because of the good work of our teachers. And so we're going to talk about that this fall and redesign our goals and our plans based on where our community is this fall.
Mm-hmm. And just for those viewers who may not know, we had approximately 42,000 students this year being served in 51 schools. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. I want to do celebrations first because that's typically what we do.
The year in review.
The year in review, and then we'll look to next year. So that's kind of what my thought is. All right, so last night at the board meeting, we honored 10 more state champions for middle school. It was all athletics last night. And then we honored high school students as well. I'd like to say that we set new records in the area of athletic state championships. We had 28 total this past school year. So last year we had 21, this year we have 28. And then our district joined the Tennessee Middle School Athletic Association, which is the middle school branch of TSSAA at the high school level. And our student athletes earned 16 state champions their first year. So as we talk about athletics first, that's pretty exciting news.
Well, our vision statement is to create a supportive environment that challenges students to excel in academics, athletics, and the arts. At the end of the school year, all the TSSAA spring sports are completing. And track and field is one, and there are, of course, a lot of others. Boys soccer plays in the spring, baseball, softball. There's a great mix of those, and we did have a lot of celebrations this year.
We did.
You mentioned middle school students, and we joined TSSAA's middle school division just this year, the TMSAA. We had up to this point participated as a self-contained group with our middle schools, and Franklin Specials Middle School participated in it as well. And we grew so much that we recognized that it was time to move to the next level. Now we were competing well against each other, but the administration of so many middle schools became almost a full-time job. And so the structure's in place with TSSAA to lead that, setting the rules, setting the standards, pitch counts for middle school baseball pitchers, and all the details that surround making sure we take good care of our middle school students who are participating in athletics. You know, one of the jokes that was mentioned a year ago when we first started talking about this was some of the other athletic directors in other parts of the state commented to our athletic director, well, when you guys join the TSSAA, you're going to either be the ACC or the SEC of middle school. And we smiled, and I think about Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest. Those are the schools that I think of in those two conferences. But it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek smile, and it's because of the quality of what we do and the love that our coaches have, and that love is across the nation, really across the world, with people who serve children. But there's something special about what's going on in our middle schools. It's about that love at the middle school level.
It is.
And the success is very nice. The honors, I love to see our middle school students get honored, but truthfully, it's about growing that love for what you're doing at the middle school level.
That's right. And quite successful seasons, I would say, for our student athletes. We were successful in the arts as well. We have honored this year 87 students who either made all-state band, all-state orchestra, all-state choir, or theater. So that's exciting, and we had the Fine Arts Senior Showcase, I guess, a couple of months ago, and that was a wonderful event, and such talent. We have talent on the fields, on the courts, on the stages, all around in Williamson County Schools, and it does take a group effort to make that happen. And when I say that, I mean the talent of the students, the choral directors, the teachers that are in those classrooms or on those stages with them, and then the parental support. Our parental support, I've always said, and community support is second to none.
Carol, if I'm not mistaken, is this the first year that the state is doing the drama all-state theater all-state? Give us those numbers. Those numbers. 87 total. Orchestra, band, choir, and theater.
Yeah.
So one of the really neat things this year was to see the theater honors, and so we've celebrated them as students. We've celebrated them in our board meetings, and of course they get that recognition at the state level. And we have students who translate that into scholarships, and it's really exciting to see that. Our productions
Fabulous.
are incredible. If you didn't have a chance this year to go to some of our productions, plan for it next year.
That's right.
A lot of those tend to concentrate in the spring. We have some fall productions as well.
The musicals happen typically in the spring. Fall is more drama, that sort of thing. Although, sometimes they mix it up a little bit. So there's always something. And our middle schools are really turning it on too.
I have seen some of those middle school and high school productions that I'm not a connoisseur of it, but it feels Broadway-ish a little bit sometimes.
Yes, it
and I say I'm not a connoisseur. I can't fit in those Broadway seats. They're a little tight.
They're cozy.
But the quality of what our students are producing is pretty incredible.
Really is. And those teachers, directors, leaders in those areas go above and beyond as well. Here's some more numbers I want to throw out. We'll just say in academics, the class of 2022 accepted, not offered, they were offered much more, but accepted $102 million in scholarship dollars.
And last year, I think we were at 85 million.
We
or
were.
so. The
We
year-
were. 89 the year before
89
that.
the year before.
Yeah.
So it's a significant jump for our students.
Self-reported. Let's put that out there. But yes.
Well, and our counselors the last couple of weeks of school talk to our students and say, hey, let us know your scholarship
Right,
dollars. And those numbers are overwhelming in a lot of ways when you think about the number of high school graduates. But drilling down for each individual student is really what's important. There's a difference between private schools and public schools. There's a difference between tuition rates. We get a lot of offers, plus of course the question is acceptance of those scholarship offers. But really what's important for a parent is that delta between the tuition, room and board, and what a student is offered. That $102 million represents a massive discount. Doors are open for students. Colleges, even the public colleges these days, there's a pretty significant expense.
It's expensive.
You've got a budget for it. You think about the increasing cost just with inflation that we're going through right now. Those dollars make a huge difference and open doors for students, and that's what we're proud of. That's what we're about. You know, I'd mentioned our strategic plan and going through the next strategic planning process. In our current strategic plan, we had 2 ACT-related goals. One was to increase our maximum, our average number, but second, we had a goal to increase the percentage of students who score 21 or better, because that opens the doors for Tennessee scholarships in our local schools across the state. The Tennessee Promise and some of those other scholarship offerings that have been available because of state efforts over the last few years. And so when we talk about scholarship dollars, even though that's not specifically a goal within our strategic plan, it's a result of goals we've had over the years to increase our students' ACT scores so that not only will they get accepted, but they can qualify for those scholarship dollars.
Well, let's talk about doors that are open that we provide. And I want to talk about a special program at Fairview High School. And the program is a Mechatronics program. Over the past 5 years, 25 students who have been in Fairview High's Mechatronics program have graduated from Fairview High School, not only with their high school degree, but with an associate's degree in engineering systems technology. I don't even know what that really means. But if you go into the classroom, the Mechatronics classroom at Fairview High School, there are so many different types of operational machines and things that those students are just like, wow, I'm blown away by. I was an old journalism major. Back in the day, you didn't have to have math. This is way above what I could ever be able to do. But so 25 with associate's degree, 37 with the technical certificate. Again, doors being opened for students. So this past year, 6 of the 25 earned the associate's degree and 12 earned the technical certificate. Talk about that.
Well, number one, we're rolling. You think about how do you get a train started? It takes a lot of work on the front end, and then you get that train rolling. This train is rolling with Mechatronics. Let me talk about a couple of key items that got that train rolling. Number one, we needed funding because the tuition for Columbia State, so that we can get that 2-year degree while someone graduates high school. Sam Whitson, our state representative who's responsible for the Fairview area, was key in that early on in finding ways within budgets to make sure there was funding for that. That funding doesn't come from our budget, it comes from the collegiate side. So it's been an effort at the legislative level to get enough money to cover the tuition for those students. The number in the great scheme of a state budget is not huge, but the mechanism of getting it in place and specifically earmarked for the program was key. The materials, the mechanics of getting the machines that you talked about available so that students can get that direct experience. That took a lot of capital investment. So we had a lot of folks working on that. City of Fairview helped with that. Our legislators also helped us with that. Grant money. We had private donations to help with that. It was a team effort to get that started. Another key item to keep this rolling is The middle school students at Fairview Middle School have that opportunity to get into mechatronics, kind of the early stages of that, so that they have a time as middle school students to determine if that's something they want to work on. Because if you're going to get to the point where you in essence have 6 years worth of school in that 4-year high school time, you need to be prepared to hit the ground running as freshmen. So we've been able to do that with our middle school students. So there's vertical alignment between the middle school and high school. And ultimately, it's about those students. I've had conversations with students who completed this program who've gone straight into the workforce or have gone to Georgia Tech to finish their 4-year degree. I spoke specifically to a student who's going into mechanical engineering. So you talk about what that means. Mechanical engineering is an avenue for that. Direct work in mechanics. Robotics is a piece of that. You visualize conveyor belts and how systems are structured to automate some of that human effort. It's a great program. We have college and career technical education programs at all of our schools. We know that from an enrollment perspective, one school has a hard time keeping one program going. So we do have open zoning for each of those programs, but the force of that mechatronics program at Fairview is self-sustaining.
It's just impressive. I always enjoy going out to visit that classroom because the students are amazing. Last, as we wrap up this school year, and we could be here for hours talking, but National Merit finalists, we had 71 this school year, 51 last year. National Merit opportunity opens also many doors for students. 71 is our highest number ever. Very impressive.
71 is our highest number ever by far. We had 51 the year before, really during the height of COVID. Actually the year before COVID, right? And then the year before that we were at 52, which was our max up to 71. National Merit is a capped number of students based on particular scores nationally. You're competing nationally. It's one of those few items that you can specifically say, we are competing nationally here. And we had a massive leap. I'm convinced that we had that massive leap because so many school systems during the pandemic struggled staying on campus. We fought that battle on a daily basis. I've talked about this early this year. It's hard to believe where we've come. That's why we had so many National Merit finalists this year. It's that combination of excellent academics where we've been competing for a good number of years, plus we had that extra effort keeping students in school. So we had a pretty significant spike. National Merit includes some of those massive scholarships. A lot of colleges offer full academic scholarships for National Merit finalists. So again, for those students, we opened doors. We jumped by about 40% in 1 year for those students. So we're so proud of their work, largely on how they performed on the PSAT.
That's right. All right. We're closing the door, if you will, on the 21-22 school year and opening the door for 22-23 because, I mean, we're already in it. You know, it never stops in school land anymore, right? You're just moving on to the next thing. The board took action last night on late start, early release days. And if you would, please let our families know what they can expect next year.
20 plus years ago, we had Wednesday afternoons off at the elementary school level, some Wednesday afternoons off at the elementary school level for planning. We got away from that. More recently, our high school and middle schools have had what we call late start Mondays. Some people called them Power Mondays. When we transitioned to that felt painful for a lot of folks. Oh my goodness, we're starting school a little bit late. Now they love it and they don't want to get away from it. Likewise, we know we need that additional planning time for our elementary teachers because we haven't had that in a number of years. We piloted it at a couple of schools, tried it in the morning. We've concluded that the afternoons work better. And when I talk about planning time, I'm not talking about sitting by yourself doing the work that we know teachers do every day, that they're doing Saturdays, that they're doing Sunday nights, that they're doing in the evenings. I'm talking about collaborative time where they work together, where teachers drill down with each other about how students did on particular examinations, what we call formative exams, to see how students are mastering particular standards that they need to learn before all their tests, and they drill down together. And they talk about individual students, about how a student did, how close is that particular student to mastering a particular standard, so that they can adjust their instruction on the fly over the course of the school year to help their students master. It's the next best step for us to help our students to continue to grow. They need the time. Our board spent really the last 3 months, April, May, and June, discussing this. A lot of parents' comments got involved, students, teachers, and ultimately our board landed on this plan for next year. We're going to keep the secondary school schedules basically the same. So they have voted on those particular late start Mondays, and so we have that in place now. And they've also voted to add 11 early release days for elementary schools on particular Wednesday afternoons. And we have a specific schedule. It has been professionally and thoughtfully geared towards when students take those formative assessments, those tests to see where they stand, so that teachers have time to talk about students' grasp of the standards in time, on time, and at the appropriate time, so that they can plan for adjusting their instruction. So we'll be publishing those dates.
Yes.
Now, our hope is that parents can pick up children. We're releasing 112 minutes early, almost 2 hours early on those particular days. We believe that most parents will be able to adjust and maybe even schedule, I don't know, dentist appointments, those kinds of things, to allow their children to leave early. If a parent can't do it, we're going to run a second run of bus routes. So we'll run the buses for those who can head home right then, a couple hours early on those 11 Wednesdays. If a parent can't be there and just flat can't do it, we're going to run the buses a second time and make sure that we take care of your children. So from a convenience standpoint, based on parent schedules, we're going to accommodate those parent schedules. If a parent can't make an adjustment, they won't feel a change in the schedule.
So if you want to see the dates that the board approved, you can go onto our website now and go under last night's board meeting and take a look at the agenda. That information is attached. We'll also have it up on the district website, hopefully by the end of the day today.
And let me tell you how we're getting the time. The high schools and middle schools have actually had 7 minutes more of their instructional day than elementary schools for a number of years. I suspect a lot of folks didn't even notice that. Often you're not going to notice 7 minutes in an individual day, but those schools went an extra 7 minutes. The elementary schools are going to borrow that model, and so the school start time is going to adjust. The school end time is going to adjust a little bit to those ultimate 7 minutes. We're basing each school's structure on the bus route structure in each particular region. We have a meeting as we speak this afternoon to talk about the exact times that schools will open and close, and we'll be publishing that on our website later this week. So the combination of school start time, school release time, and these schedules are what is going to drive this work for us this coming year.
Okay, very good. Let's look at a few more things. Enrollment, we project more students will join us next year. So we anticipate continuing to grow, and our budget is set on that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Folks may not know we had 51 schools this year because we'd added at the start of the school year 2 online schools. The board voted, 2 months ago, I think it was, to close Discovery Virtual, which was our K-8 school due to lack of enrollment. So we will be back at 50 schools for next year, but we're building 2 elementary schools. Talk about the planning that goes into, I guess, our 5-year plan, where we look at where the growth is and how to build schools.
Our strategic plan actually called for us to consider virtual schools over the course of these next few years. We did it a little quicker because the pandemic opened that door for us and parents had a need. With elementary schools, as the students transition from the fall semester to the spring semester this year, the re-enrollment just wasn't there. We didn't have the capacity to do the quality work we knew we needed to do as Williamson County Schools to keep the elementary school open. So when I say online elementary, so that's actually a K-8.
Yes.
The re-enrollment numbers were so small. High school is going strong. And it's a combination of students taking some online classes plus a full commitment to online. So the high school is there. There may be some students who choose ultimately to transition from 8th grade to a virtual high school. But for our purposes, we're going to be on campus, fully on campus, K-8 across the board. We're opening 2 new schools, not this coming year, but the next, because of growth. So many public school systems across the country had a drop in enrollment with a pandemic because people weren't there. People weren't in school in a lot of places. We projected that we were going to have about a 2-year recovery time. We're already past where we were before the pandemic. I hope there's a time where we don't even mention the pandemic anymore. I wonder when surveys, think about all the work Gallup does on surveys. You wonder when we look back on this in 10 years, is there going to be a spike? Or is there going to be a significant drop in some of the work that they do about where we were back then? But for us, we're
moving on.
However many euphemisms you want to, guns a-blazing, going strong, trains rolling, we're really 100% back to where we were with the effort that we put.
So not this 22-23 school year, but the next school year we will open a new elementary school off Wilkes Lane in Spring Hill, and then in the Triune area. So we are looking forward to that. Now, we're also looking forward to our budget passing. We've been going through the budget process now for the past several months, and we're just now waiting for county commission approval.
I know you're transitioning me to budget, but I want to mention one thing about the schools.
Okay.
Every time we open a new school, common sense says we have to create a school zone, which means we are going to do some rezoning this fall. We're looking to see how our students are in our schools are on growth. We'll be having a rezoning recommendation late fall, probably October or so, based on our timeline. Budget's important. It's not real fun to talk about it, but the numbers are important. 85% of our budget is people. It's all about teachers. It's all about the direct services we give to students. We try to be very lean in the support systems so that we can put our effort and our money towards direct services to students.
When you say support systems, you mean operational?
Thank you.
Support,
thank you.
not other support.
Those central office folks. Maintenance, we do the work, we do it efficiently so that we can get those extra direct supports to students. So as an example, we are adding some 504 coordinators. We know what that means. 504 plans are services to students with disabilities. We've noticed that there's been an increase in that. It's been a nationwide increase, and our counseling staff needs some help so that we can have more time for our counselors to give direct services to students. That's just one example of what we're going through with our budget. Right. But our county commission is voting June 27th on our budget for the next fiscal year.
And I do want to say, unprecedented this past year was a mid-school year raise for staff, and there are also raises in the next budget that's been presented in front of the county commission.
The market has changed so much the last 6 months, 8 months. In conjunction with the county mayor, Rogers Anderson, and his staff, given where we were with our revenue side of our budget, we were able to give a mid-year pay increase. In my experience, that's unprecedented. Government making decisions on, in the middle of a budget year is very unusual because basically we can't have a direct impact on our revenue side. And our commission's not going to address taxes in the middle of a fiscal year. But because sales tax increased for us, we had the capacity to pass that on to our staff, give a mid-year pay increase. As cost of goods increase, it's important for us to pass that sales tax increase on to our staff because they're having to pay more for those goods. Sure. We have another pay raise scheduled for our staff starting July 1. It's significant. The cost of living in this community is growing. It's important that we find ways to support those professionals and make it feasible to do the work that they love.
Okay. So that's great news for everybody who would love to come and work for Williamson County Schools. And we want you to come and work for Williamson County Schools if you have a passion for education, love students. We have lots of job openings. So we're going to end this with a public service announcement, commercial, whatever you want to call it. Do your pitch for future employees to join us in the Williams County Schools.
Well, so number one, you didn't tell me that we were going to do this pitch, but every opportunity I get, I talk about what a wonderful opportunity is to work for WCS. We have such an amazing combination of folks who serve students. Bus drivers, you work in the morning, you have a little bit of break in midday, by and large, and then you can perform those services in the afternoon. We train bus drivers. We have our own trainers, we have our own state examiners. If you're looking to do something good for students and want to get up early, we'd love to have you.
Our bus drivers are beloved.
Teachers' assistants. We have so many folks who come in and just love that help that they can give students. For professional teachers, this is where you need to be, because we have so many supports in place. We have that collegiality. We're working on finding time so that you as a teacher can work with your peers together to help grow your students. We talked about extracurriculars, athletics, and the arts. We have the whole package here. We know it's not a it's a stereotype about teacher pay, but it's not a stereotype because it's true. We know that teachers get into the profession knowing that that's going to be a challenge, and that is something that we are constantly working on to help you be able to make a living and do what you committed yourself to professionally. We'd love to have you at WCS.
Okay. So I would say, if you are interested, please go to our website at wcs.edu. Go to the top right-hand side, click on careers, check out what job vacancies are available. Pay scales are there, all sorts of the information that you need. You do have to apply online, so we encourage you to do so. Do not wait. Get on in there and apply. All right, it's all in all, it's been a wonderful school year, I have to say. So, and can't wait for 22-23.
It's been a great year for our students, and you mentioned we have work to do. Every year requires a lot of good work, and y'all, the word is good. It was a great year. We expect another one, and we're looking forward to it.
Okay, well, we hope everyone, our families, enjoy your summer break. We will see you again with back to school videos and information and a back to school superintendent's report later in July. Thanks for joining us.